back in 2009. But I got to get to this fight card this weekend. First, though, we update the standings. 92-84 was the lead for Team Anik. That was going into UFC 227 back on August 4th, so it had tightened up to 8. Remember, we had my man Preet, MMA Lock of the Night on Twitter, MMA LOTN. He had TJ Dillashaw. He had him by knockout. That was the difference. 4-2. MMA Lock of the Night wins the week. 96-86. Back to double digits for the good guys. And speaking of good guys, joining us to make picks today, we are going to international waters. This listener's name is Giovanni Romagnoli. Gio, my man. Good to have you with us today, sir.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. Gio, you sound great, my friend.
Oh, it's awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
Where are you joining us from today, sir?
I'm nearby Leeds in England. And, the weather is surprisingly good for the place. You know?
Gotta love it. The Englishmen always leading with the weather. Well, we won't take too much of your time, but we appreciate your listenership and certainly you hopping on to try to challenge former 3-time UFC world title challenger Kenny Kenflo Florian. First fight, third fight down on the main card. We spent a lot of time on it. Brian Barberena, -500. Jake Ellenberger, +375. The wrinkle in this matchup, Kenny talked about it. So Barberena fought Jake's twin brother, Joe, in what was Barberena's UFC debut back in 2014, beat him. Barberena out of the MMA lab. He's a finisher, 9 wins by knockout. He's the prohibitive favorite here. Gio, who do you like in this one on the main card, Barberena or Jake Ellenberger?
Well, in this fight, I'll pick Barberena. The reason is that Ellenberg took a lot of damage in his last fight, while Barberena seems the younger, patient. He has good experience in the ring, and he took also 1.5 years, and I hope that improved some part of his game.
Yeah, Kenflo, Vegas always seems to know, right? Or most of the time they do. So at least on paper, Brian Barberena is supposed to win this fight this weekend.
Yeah, and listen, he's absolutely the favorite, but I need points, man. I'm going with the juggernaut. I think Ellenberger surprises everybody and gets the win. How's that?
And you would get 4 points in our scoring system if he does just that. Good stuff. All right, next up, featured bout here at 115 pounds. Angela Hill, -145. Courtney Casey, +115. So Hill comes in. She's won 2 of 3, outpointed Marina Moroz her last time out. That was in February. Last 4 have gone the distance, 6 of her last 7 overall. On the other side, you have Courtney Casey. She has fought a ton of top competition, as Hill has, but Casey has dropped 2 in a row on paper. Split decision losses to Felice Herrig and the karate hottie Michelle Watterson. Giovanni, who do you like here, Angela Hill or Courtney Cast Iron Casey?
Yeah, I'm picking Casey here. I'm picking the underdog. Angela Hill, she's a very fast, aggressive kickboxer. But Casey seems very strong. She's a veteran. She has solid grappling and ground game. So I think if she can force some takedowns, she might win the decision.
Kenny, I would think Courtney Casey would try to lean on the takedowns and the grappling against Angela Hill, who is certainly rounding into a fine mixed martial artist in her own right.
Yeah.
And she is favored to get the job done here. Hill versus Casey. Which side do you fall on?
I think that the odds makers are probably looking at the results here, looking at the records, past results, as opposed to the skills and the matchup here. I don't love this matchup for Angela Hill. I agree with Gio. I think Courtney Casey, with her takedown game, is going to pose a lot of problems for Angela Hill. She's going to be taller. She's going to be bigger. She's going to be stronger. I think Courtney Casey's physicality will get it done here by decision.
All right, co-main event, the second appearance at featherweight for the longtime lightweight contender Michael Johnson. Favored to get the job done here. He is at a -150 clip against Andre Fili. Fili at +120, slight underdog here. Gio, who do you like in the co-main event, Michael Johnson or Andre Fili?
Yeah, this is a difficult one. I'm going with the underdog again here. Michael Johnson is a very aggressive fighter, but Andre Fili is, again, the younger athlete between the two. He has good takedowns, and he has fought some of the greatest name in the division. So he has lots of experience. Also, he relies on counterattacks a lot. So I think Andre Fili might make it.
Gio sounds like he's got a pretty trained eye, Kenflo.
Yes.
I want to give you some numbers on Michael Johnson. 9-9 for MJ Kenny in the UFC. He's dropped 5 of his last 6 overall, 3 straight to Darren Elkins, Justin Gaethje, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was preceded by what was a first-round knockout of Dustin Poirier in a main event, Hidalgo, Texas, September of 2016. when he's on, Kenny, there's no doubt that Michael Johnson can be a threat. Still some unknowns here at 145 pounds. Andre Fili trying to keep going what is the first winning streak of his UFC career. It was alternated wins and losses for him through his first 9. I like this co-main event. Michael Johnson, Andre Fili, Flo. Who wins it?
I do as well. Listen, I think that Gio made a lot of good points here. I think Andre Fili has been a very good counter-striker as of late, and he's also shown really good footwork and intelligence and how he approaches the fight. I was kind of waiting to see what Gio was going to say here because this is a close one, and I kind of wanted to go the opposite way here. I'm concerned also with the weight cut here. This is Michael Johnson's first fight at 145. Is that correct?
Second.
Oh, it's second. Who did he fight his last one?
Darren Elkins, and he, in terms of the weight, he looked great, but I still think, to your point, to just dismiss it as a factor would be ignorant. So
yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough making that weight when you're used to fighting 55. Not that he was the biggest 55er, but as far as hands goes, whether it's at 145 or 155, Michael Johnson has some of the fastest hands in the game. I will never forget his performance in Brazil against Edson Barbosa. He was just phenomenal, and the pressure that he put on him and the intelligence that he showed in that fight and how he pressured. I'm just going to go the opposite way here as Gio. This is a close one. This really could go either way. I could see either fighter winning this one. I'll go with Michael Johnson here. He really needs this win.
And in talking to Johnson at least 6 weeks or so ago, he doesn't feel like the weight is going to be an issue. You know, he feels like his body composition is such that he handled it once and he'll handle it again. I still think, you know, I look at him, I see a lightweight. So for me, I still think it's the fight before the fight. But we'll see how it goes for Michael Johnson in the co-main event slot against Andre Fili. All right, main event. This one will keep me up on the Eastern Standard Time Zone, I can assure you. For our man Gio in England, I know he's always watching these fights in the middle of the night, but this main event's got heat on it. James Vick, minus 160, the favorite. Justin Gaethje, the plus 130 underdog. This is the headliner in Nebraska, Giovanni, so we will need the method of victory in the round as well. Who do you like in Lincoln in the headliner, James Vick or Justin Gaethje?
Okay, so Vick is taller, has better reach, and is a boxer, so in theory, some hints point to Vick, but I'm going with Justin Gaethje. I think from this fight we'll see him change and adapt, maybe use more of his wrestling. So I'm saying Justin Gaethje, third round, TKO by ground and pound.
TKO, you said round 3, Gio?
Yes, round 3.
Round 3 TKO for Justin Gaethje. And I think prevailing wisdom, Ken Flo, is that this matchup would lend itself to some wrestling from Justin Gaethje. For James Vick, 9-1 in the UFC. He's won 4 in a row. Of course, Gaethje has only been on the roster 13 months, right? I mean, he made his UFC debut last July against Michael Johnson, has dropped 2 since. I know he leads the league in bonus money. The question is, does he avoid a third straight loss here, Flo? And if so, we'll need to know exactly how he gets it done.
Now, Gio's trying to use common sense to explain what Gaethje's going to do, but there's not a whole lot of common sense to what Gaethje does. That's the only problem. I think Justin Gaethje should be wrestling. He should be taking people down. He should be using his ground and pound. I don't know at this point in his career if he's going to use that against James Vick. I don't know. He should, absolutely, I agree, but I don't know if we're going to see that. I think if Gaethje is going to approach this fight, I think he's still going to try to knock out James Vick. And I think he can. I think there were some scary moments for me when Trinaldo was facing James Vick. And Trinaldo, he has good hands, but I think Gaethje has better hands. When Gaethje is moving and slipping his head off the center line and he's a little bit more narrow and not so square, he can get on the inside and he can crack, boy. And I definitely think he can get that win. We saw Beneil Dariush get the win over James Vick a few years back, and I think that James should be using his reach. He can use his reach. He can keep him on the outside. He's going to have to be cleaner than he showed against Trinaldo, though, in my opinion. Gaethje is a little bit more slick with his boxing skills.
Right.
However, Gaethje also probably at this stage of his career doesn't have the same kind of chin as Trinaldo has. Gaethje has had some wars in his last few fights here in the UFC. He's had wars really his whole career, but particularly in the UFC against high-level guys who really can crack, and that doesn't bode well. Gaethje's had a relatively quick turnaround here. James Vick, he can hit hard. You know, I think his right hand is a big-time problem. I'll go the other way here. I'll take James Vick. I think Vick gets it done.
And you got a round or a method of victory, or would you like to leave those points on the table, which is fine?
Yeah, let's go round 3 TKO James Vick.
Round 3 TKO for James Vick. All right, my man Giovanni, thank you for stepping up today and making picks, and we hope you beat the flow this weekend. Thanks for listening to the show, man. We appreciate you very much.